Sometimes, when I get bored of making things like GD theories and maps from hell, I move on to more unconventional GD projects where I generally get a bit more creative and try to think outside the box. I have a lot of projects I'm working on at any one time, but this is one I've been working on for a few months. The only difficulty has been working out how to make it into an actual video I can showcase on the channel. So, this is another one of my experimental videos and I hope you'll enjoy it. This isn't serious, and while it seems a bit trivial, it was an interesting thing for me to work on. So this is my project, Geometry-Player Cards. If you've ever played FIFA, you've most likely come across the Ultimate Team game mode. If you're unfamiliar with Ultimate Team, basically it's a game mode where you open packs of player cards and build a team of players with each player card. The fundamental feature of this is the player card itself. Football players from real life become entities with certain attributes based on an estimation of their skills in certain areas such as pace, dribbling and finishing. There are also other attributes such as player types, which is governed by their overriding skill, and these determine how well the players link up in a team based on an in-game relationship called chemistry. All these factors are added into an algorithm that calculates an average score for a player out of 100. Standard players are between 65 and 75, the more skilled players are over 75, the best players are above 85, and the world-class players are above 90. The FIFA Ultimate Team system is very complicated, and is made up of player classes with specific properties. However, so much research was poured into this system that now smaller clubs in smaller leagues right across the world use FIFA Ultimate Team databases to research players in scouting, as their stats are by and large well calculated and probably the best top-down representation of every player in every major league in the world. For me, the FIFA community and the GD community have a lot of similarities. They are both big communities with millions of players and fans, and both have expert players who are idolised. On top of this, just like with Ultimate Team, the best GD players in the community can have their skills broken down into certain types, e.g. straight flying, wave skill and timing. While obviously GD players could never be put together into an 11 to create a footballing side, there could very well be a large variety of GD player profiles that could be turned into a series of cool cards. So, that's what I did when I was bored. I took the top players in the community and I made them into player cards. So now I'm going to show you the cards that I made and a bit about how I went about making this system. The first thing I did was to create a series of skill classifications for GD players. Like with Ultimate Team, I chose 6 main areas of skill. I wanted a fairly balanced view, so I took a wide range of skills. The skills I settled on were straight flying, wave skill, jitter clicking, creator skill, stats and stars, and skills over refresh rate. Straight flying and wave skill are fairly self-explanatory skills, being 2 essential factors in beating extreme demons today. Jitter clicking is a less clear-cut one, but the ability to accurately jitter click in order to get through tight spaces, such as the wave part in Acropolis, is a very underrated skill in GD. The first area of controversy for me is where I added creator skill. Obviously, creator skill is a very well respected and desired skill in GD, but as you will see later, it compromises the overall skill of a player, so I was wondering if creator skill should even be included. I'll address this in more detail later. Stats and stars are fairly important traits in my opinion. A well-maintained profile of stars, diamonds, coins and leaderboard position is essential to the modern player, especially in GD 2.1 where the game became more oriented to players who farm. Then finally we have skill over refresh rate. I thought this should be included as there are many players that need to have their refresh rates considered. Someone like Stormfly may score worse on straight flying than a fairly average 144Hz player, which could damage his overall score. The skill over refresh rate stat is so that 60Hz shortcomings can be rebalanced with a higher stat. However, this doesn't punish 144Hz players. Best players score highly on this whatever their refresh rate. This is simply another category that can be used to balance the overall score. I decided to add speciality types like FIFA has too. I chose 6 different areas of expertise. All-rounder, meaning the player has adept capabilities in all areas of the game. Flying, where the player is most gifted with the ship. Wave, which is the same thing but with the wave. Demon Slayer, which is where the player has beaten an exceptional amount of demon levels, e.g. Noctifly and Passer Blitz. Timing, where the player is able to time their clicks exceptionally well. And finally, Creator, where the player's creating talents are outstanding. With these attributes and a structure established, I decided to start making the cards themselves. I chose a fairly standard GD background from the web, cropped it down to a small portrait shape, and added a rounded border. I then added cells and areas for the players' icons, names, and stats. This was the final card template I came up with. It contained the properties and the cells. All I had to do now was start making some player cards. Now, as I said earlier, I started working on this a long time ago, late December to be precise. I made a bunch of these cards, and some of them now look a little out of date. However, they provide a good example of what a GD card game would look like. I made them for the best players, and some for more specialised players. We have Sunix, Truster, Blast, Combined, Serve, Crazy Man 50, Quasar, Akan, Sagaesta, Quantum, SozTRK, Jewel Kiki, Noctafly, and of course Riot. Riot for me is a good demonstration of why I think adding creator skill may cause more of an unrealistic representation of player skill. Riot is an exceptionally gifted player and always has been, but his score is maybe less than that of what it should be because of a lower creator skill ranking. However, largely I do think this is quite a cool little stat. Another aspect of Ultimate Team is the colour of cards. For good players, you have fairly standard gold cards that everyone has seen and everyone who has played the game is used to, but there are also other colours. Black and gold represents a player who is on a very good run in real life. Blue represents the team of the year, and there are a large range of different colours to represent different things which occur throughout the year. So, I applied this to my GD set somewhat. I decided to make the black cards for good players, and I would make a white template for good creators. This time around, I haven't had time to make 20 different cards, so I settled on making a player card for Viprin, and here it is. I made a best guess for his stats, and it came to about 83.666 recurring overall, which adds up to 84. 84 is by no means a bad score, especially when some of the best players in the community like Sunix have 86, but I personally think this isn't entirely representative of Viprin's skills, and this is a good example of where the system of player cards is less suited to Geometry Dash. In football, besides being a keeper, skill types are uniform across players. With GD, there are two main specialisations, playing and creating, and both are very different. If GD player cards was to become an actual thing, I believe creator cards would need to have a different setup with different stats. So I mocked this up too. Instead of having 6 player types, I kept the creator skill and the stats categories and added 4 new categories: gameplay, effects, collabs, and featured. Gameplay is how good they are at creating intuitive gameplay. Effects is how good they are at creating effect levels. Collabs is how good they are in collab participation, e.g. are their parts always good, and are they always efficient and helpful in collabing teams. And then finally featured is how recognised they are as a creator. This is another controversial one, as unnoticed creators without creator points remains one of the most controversial topics without a definitive answer in GD. I remade Viprin's card with these new stats, and this was the outcome. As you can see, there is a very different picture painted here, with most of Viprin's stats exceeding 90. This puts him at 90 rated overall, which takes him well above every good player card I created. Overall, I would be unsure as to how to separate and balance player cards and creator cards, but I wanted to show you this to demonstrate just how blurred the lines are. Just for the sake of it, while I had the new creator template open, I made a card for Manix648, a very popular effects and collab creator. Manix came out as very slightly below Viprin, but you get the idea at how a creator card allows good creators to be incredibly OP, whereas the player card counts creating skill and largely has harsher categories with less specialisation. So that was my project I've been working on since December, a set of Geometry Dash player cards that could be used in some sort of spin-off game or even used in real life. It was incredibly fun and interesting to start making, but it did show that there are some bugs when transferring this gaming system optimised for football over to a different type of game. However, overall this was an interesting project and I really hope you enjoyed it. What would you do with this idea? Would you make it into a game? How would you optimise it so it suits GD players better? Be sure to have your say in the comments below. If you'd like me to make more player cards, release my player cards, or even have your own player cards by screenshot, be sure to show me in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and checking out the description where you'll find a list of many of my most famous videos and series. Thanks for watching and I'll see you all soon.